Hello, my name is Emily Crow from Crochet Creations and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to do another pattern bundle series video. This time I want to talk about socks, specifically DK weight socks. You may not have made DK weight socks before, but they are definitely becoming way more popular because they work up so fast. They're nice and cozy, so if you live somewhere cooler, then they can be really good for the fall, winter, early spring time. Like I said, they're becoming really popular, and as we think about summer sock camp and how it's coming to a close in just about a month, you might be thinking that you have not knit as many socks this summer as you thought you would. Me. Now is a great time to cast on some DK weight socks because they work up super fast, they still count for summer sock camp, and you'll have gift knits ready to go for the end of the year. So I do have some crochet sock patterns to share too, but we will start off with some knitting patterns. And I had a really hard time narrowing down my list, so we're gonna move through this kind of fast so I can get through all 30 plus DK or worsted weight sock patterns. Okay, first and foremost, I have to talk about the DK weight sock pattern by Crazy Sock Lady Co. This is her DK weight vanilla sock pattern. It is free. It comes in 3 adult sizes. I've actually made this sock pattern once before, and I ended up making the smaller size, even though I'm traditionally an adult medium, just because of how my gauge was. But I'm really happy with how they turned out. Nice and cozy, perfect for the fall and winter, like I said. And because it's free, this is a great sock pattern to look at if you are familiar with fingering weight sock patterns and you just need a little help with figuring out the math for doing a DK weight sock pattern. And even though it's only 3 sizes, you could easily scale it up or down to help you get a good fitting sock that is DK weight instead of fingering. Let's move into some textured socks. I just needed to start with that one because that is the sock pattern I recommend for anyone starting DK weight socks. This sock is also free. It's the Blueberry Waffle Socks, and I've not had the chance to make it, but it is in my queue. I think this would be such a nice, cozy, it's almost like a waffle knit type texture on these socks. Blueberry Waffle Socks. I really like the texture. It is a really simple sock. It also is free, which is really nice, especially when you're just getting into knitting DK weight socks. Another free pattern that you've probably heard of is the Rye sock pattern. This one is also full of texture, lots of purl bumps on the front of the sock, and what's really nice, this sock is a worsted weight sock. And okay, the whole DK versus worsted weight sock thing is kind of weird because the gauge is the same for most of these patterns, whether they're DK or worsted. So I think that you could easily classify both of them as kind of the same. Granted, you have to check your gauge and you have to see how each given sock works for you, but I'm lumping it all together in this video because the gauge is the exact same for most of these sock patterns. So it's close enough. You can make work. The Rye sock is nice because it has baby sizes all the way up through adult sizes, and so being able to make matching socks for your little one, that is something that is important to me, and so I always prefer a sock pattern that has multiple sizes rather than just a couple adult sizes. So another free sock pattern I want to share is called the Biscuit Socks by Fluffy Fibers. That's a cute name. And this is definitely more of a DK weight to sport weight, a little bit lighter of a sock. It is free, which is really nice. It's got this little itty bitty texture, almost like little freckles on it. And so that makes it really simple, just like a step above a vanilla sock. And so you can do something that's a little bit more interesting, but also just as mindless. These socks have a texture I've never seen before in a sock. I really like them. They're called the Saturday Socks by Tracy Miller. They have is like a purl background with some knit stitches in the front to make some vertical lines. Super fun. I really like these, and it does have a few different adult sizes, and that's pretty common to have some adult sizes, but I will definitely try to mention if I see any more that have children's sizes so you can make matching socks for everybody. Waiting for Twilight Socks. These are beautiful by Lisa K. Ross. Paper Daisy Creations. Such a cool, I love the purl and knit texture variations you can get. These are like little squares of purling and knitting. And so again, super mindless, but a little bit different than just a vanilla sock. And so this looks super fun. Definitely on my queue. These socks are by Christy Archer, the Simply Irresistible Socks Worsted. So it looks like she is planning, if not already, having multiple sock weights available for this pattern style. And so if you like this design, you can always make the fingering weight version. I'm not sure if she has those yet because right now we're talking about DK and worsted weight, but This sock looks super easy. It's got a nice pearl texture on the front, and then it's got a ribbing on the back half of the sock, and so it looks like you don't even have to make a heel because that ribbing will stretch over the heel. Makes it really easy to size. Also starts as small as like toddler sizes up through adult extra large, so you can make them for the whole family. This looks like a great gift knit because you don't have to worry as much about how long someone's foot is to place the heel in the exact spot. This would be great for gift knitting, and you can make them for everybody. Another sock pattern that has like a similar style, I'm gonna mention the Magic Heel Socks worsted. I've made the Magic Heel Socks. The Autumn Acorn has a Magic Heel Socks pattern and fingering that I've made. I used it for my Michael's sock yarn video, so I made socks for my daughter. I just scaled the pattern down to fit my daughter's feet, because there isn't normally a baby or toddler size in that pattern, and it was really easy to do, so I did that. And this version is the worsted version, and it's a little bit different because the front of the sock has some cabling on it, which makes it really fun. So you still get the magic heel, where again you don't have to worry about the placement of the heel. It's just a ribbing pattern that allows the sock to stretch over the heel. It's a paid pattern, but I feel comfortable explaining just a little bit about how that works because there are photos showing the heel itself in the pattern, so I'll make sure to pop some of those up so you can kind of see. The cabling detail makes it a little bit different than just a tube sock, which I think is really cool. Oh, these socks, so fun. Great way to use up some minis. So these are the Camp Socks by Pip and Pin Megan Nodecker, and so many fun colors. All the different colors are in like a ribbing, and then the main color in between, it looks like might be twisted stitches or like pearl bumps or something a little bit different. Super cute. Like I said, a great way to use up some stash. I want to talk about a few like more complicated patterns because I think that those are really fun to work on too. Sometimes you want mindless knitting, but sometimes you want something more intricate. I do really enjoy a lot of these patterns, but I'm sharing some that I don't necessarily foresee myself making anytime soon, but that I thought you as my viewers might really enjoy. So definitely let me know down below if any of these sock patterns stood out to you, and if any of these are something you would want to make to finish off summer sock camp or to prepare for some holiday knits and crochet items later on. So this sock pattern is Nimbus by Sarah R. My cup of knitting. This lace is stunning. It is so intricate. I can't imagine. I bet the chart is like half of the foot of the sock. Really interesting. Like it would be different every row to work on, and so if you want something that's more intricate, this is your pattern. And it comes as a shorty sock, so I bet you could do it a little bit differently if you wanted to. This is a slightly lighter gauge, so a sport weight yarn could maybe work for that. That's a beautiful pattern. It looks like it might be toe up. Let's find out. Is it toe up? Nope, it's definitely cuff down. So this is definitely a cuff down sock. Super cute, super intricate, so that would be really, really interesting to work on as a process knit, I think. I also wanted to share, I had such a hard time narrowing down my list, but I wanted to share Riverbed by Joji Locatelli. I promise I can say it. This pattern is in 52 Weeks of Socks, so if you don't have that book already, then you'll have to find it in there. It is a very lightweight DK. It says 25 stitches, whereas a lot of the patterns I've seen are 21, 22 stitches, so sport weight could probably work for this. There's only 2 sizes. The movement of the cabling lace is just beautiful. Yeah, I could just stare at it all day. It's mesmerizing. Oh, I have another free pattern to share. I love free patterns, and nothing is truly free, especially like designers put in a lot of work in patterns. I know this personally, but it is really nice when designers also share what they have knowledge-wise. And designers shouldn't feel obligated to offer free patterns, but if they want to, I think it's a really great way to contribute to the community. And a way that we can encourage them is by making their free patterns and to share their free patterns and look at other patterns that they offer. This is called Laid Edges by Kelly McPherson, and this is a really cute, pretty simple sock design with like a braided cable going down either side of the sock. So it just looks so cozy. Like I said, it is free. Just the perfect amount of, you got to do a little bit of thinking, make sure that you place the cables in the right spot, but it looks fairly mindless. Definitely could be TV knitting. Nice and cozy. I definitely want to make that. Can you tell? I'm like all about cables. I just think they're so fascinating. And I think cables evoke kind of a cozy vibe, and thicker socks are also very cozy. So I think that's why there's a lot of cabled socks on this pattern roundup, because they just go together. So not as many like lace patterns, but I did my best. I tried to find a variety of things. So these are called Meet Cute Socks by Helen Stewart. Curious Handmade is their store, and these also have a lot of cabling detail on them. And I just thought the name was super cute. Meet Cute Socks. I do think they're cute. Okay, this pattern, I had no idea it was a DK weight pattern until I was trying to find patterns for this roundup, and I realized this pattern that I had already saved is DK. It's the Flower Knot Socks by Laura Moritz, and I have a few of her patterns. I think she's a really beautiful designer. It's got this cool, like, tucked up fabric looking cable. Really interesting to look at. 32 stitches. That is definitely more of a sport weight yarn. Interesting. That is the most fine of gauge that I've seen for any of these socks on the list, so that's kind of interesting. I think it's a really pretty pattern, and like I said, I'd liked this before. I do like how the cables are so big that it just flows into regular stockinette in between the twists. I think that's a really beautiful design feature. Another cabled pattern, but this one I think is a really good like basic pattern that'll give you a lot of what you want if you want cabled knitting. This sock pattern is called Zakuri Remix by Yucca. There are multiple versions of this sock pattern. It's called Remix because it's based on a fingering weight pattern, and the sock is written so that you could have cables all over on both sides of the legs. You could have cables on one side of the leg. You could have just a rib sock without cables. So there's a few different options so that if you want a little bit of variety, that you can have it all in this pattern. I'm trying really hard to blow through these because there are so many ideas and I want to share them all. This sock looks so cozy and a great tribute to lace knitting. This is Duoro by Sarah Blue Design. It is in English and French. I've double checked that all these patterns I'm sharing are also in English so that I could make them if I wanted to, and I know that a lot of my followers are English speaking. This has a beautiful lace detailing on the cuff area, so it's not like a ribbed cuff, it's a lacy cuff with like a scalloped edge, so really beautiful and feminine, and it just looks so cozy. Some really interesting texture and even throughout the sock too, so I think that this would be a fascinating thing to make. It would be really engaging to make. That is definitely something that I've had my eye on. I'm gonna move more into some colorwork type socks. This is called Lumberjack by Tin Can Knits, and it is also in many sizes from baby, toddler, child, mama, papa, which I think is super cute. So you can make a whole family of socks. Just a simple ribbed sock with some sports stripes on the cuff. Pretty simple, but like a really good standard sock to have in your pattern library. This next sock, so cute. Are you a cat person? Tell me if you're a cat person, because I'm a cat person. Alfred's over there on my bed right now. These are called the Peaky Cat Socks by Marna Gilligan. They're super cute. They have some color work, little cat faces on the leg. And then if you're wearing a pair of like Mary Jane's or like lower cut shoes, then the cat on there's a big colorwork cat on the front of the sock that's like peeking out of your shoe. Super cute. I love anything cat. Another colorwork sock that's an all over colorwork. It's called A New Leaf by Tiff Nealon. Tiff Hand Knit. This is like a really cute standard, nothing super crazy, probably a really fairly simple chart to follow. What makes this really interesting is it's got a 2-color brioche cuff, which is very stretchy, and there aren't a lot of brioche sock patterns out there that I saw, so this is really fun that you get a little bit of brioche on the cuff and then you can just move into the colorwork to still use both colors. So super cute. I am loving some brioche. Couple fun free colorwork patterns that I found, and excuse me for my pronunciation. Brunost Sokken by Lene Olseth. They speak Norwegian. There we go. It's Norwegian. So this sock is pretty simple. It's got a ribbed foot, but the leg is a big colorwork motif. Very traditional Nordic type of motif. So really, really cute. Nice and cozy vibes. I love it. And another sock pattern that is a little bit similar. It's got a colorwork portion on the leg. This is called Fanrem Sokker. Also available in Norwegian. Again, English, but it looks like the designer is from Norway. Super, super cute. This is like a smaller design, it looks like, a Nordic design, and it's free, which is awesome. So you can try a little bit of color work in your DK weight socks. This one is an all-over colorwork design that is stunning. I think it's got all the cozy vibes. This is called Sisters United Socks by Caitlin Hunter. And what I love about this pattern, it says that all proceeds from this pattern will benefit Sisters United, and has a link so you can check out Sisters United more and learn more about them. It says here that Sisters United is a community-based initiative supported by fellow makers to raise money to support organizations that are dedicated to support Native American women. Due to transgenerational trauma, cultural genocide, and colonization, Native women are one of the most at-risk minorities in the United States for many things. I don't know if I can say it out here, but mega trigger warning, basically. We believe that a spark of change in a community begins with strong women and positive family foundations. Our goal is to bring a small offering of financial substance to programs who support Native women, youth, and communities. We also pledge to do the groundwork for these issues, including bringing education and awareness on our platforms and working with local human trafficking and MMIW task force. So I think that's really a cool cause. These socks are super cozy and beautiful, and I think that's a great cause to support. And I'll try to remember to leave the link down below so you can learn more about Sisters United as well before checking out the pattern itself. So many fun cozy patterns. I love this. This next pattern, it's like a grouping. It's called the Great Outdoors Socks by Carly Perrins. And it's 3 different designs that all have a little bit of color work slash like using contrast colors in an artful way. One of them has like a tree motif near the bottom of the foot. One of them has some striping. One of them alternates some colors at the ends of the foot. So super cute, fairly simple, nice to have a nice bundle of a variety of socks that are a similar style. So you can make things that will go together really well but aren't exactly the same. Airplane. We're actually doing really good on time. I'm so proud of myself. Hopefully this won't be too hard to edit. So this pattern I want to share next is called the Cold Winter Nights Worsted Socks. So I made the Cold Winter Nights socks in fingering weight for last Christmas, and I love them. I think it's a great pattern, and this pattern is the worsted weight version of it. Man, all the airplanes out and about. Woof. So yeah, super cute. It's got the color work on the leg as well as right before the toe. That pattern is by Twin Stitches Design, as well as this next one is called My Perfect Double Stranded Socks, also by Twin Stitches Designs. She's got a few worsted weight sock patterns, and this one is intended to be yarn held together. Now, theoretically, you could hold 2 strands of fingering weight yarn, or a strand of mohair and a strand of fingering weight yarn, or you could hold just a strand of DK, and they would all equal about the same gauge, or they could. However, I will say that your gauge may be different working on a strand of DK weight yarn versus 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together versus fingering and lace held together. Your gauge could be different. Your fabric could be different, and that might impact how tightly or loosely you want to knit that yarn held together. So I think that you could do a lot of swapping and substitutions and make it work that way for you, but also be prepared that your gauge might need to change, or it might change inevitably. This is designed to be made with 2 strands, with multiple strands of yarn held together. This pattern is available from toddler size all the way through adult extra large, so it's got a really good span. And yeah, like I said, it is intended for multiple yarns held together, and so that could work better for you than just depending on a pattern that's written for DK weight yarn only, because your gauge could be different. Here's another little sock bundle. This is called Thick Socks 3 More Ways by Dana Rae Makes, and that makes me think, is there a Thick Socks 3 Ways pattern, the precursor to this? Oh, I have to look into that. I might have to add those to the list. But these 3 are some cool textured socks, interesting ribbing, like waffle texture, lots of knits and pearls to create interesting textures. So these look really fun to work on. They only have 2 sizes, and so gotta kind of figure out what works for you. But yeah, I think that these 3 sock patterns look really fun to knit. Let's see if there's another Thick Socks 3 Ways by Dana Rae Makes also. So this is fingering held together. Also some fun, like more ribbing-esque textures. There's some interest here. So that should be fun. I'm gonna add this to my little bundle of sock patterns to keep track of it. Very cool. The Thick Socks 3 Ways is more like ribbing. It's very vertical in the designs, whereas this one, the Thick Socks 3 More Ways, definitely has more like horizontal features too, for like a waffle knit or like a adding purl bumps or things like that. So many different varieties that are available to you. Who knew there were this many DK weight socks? I'm kind of on a holding multiple strands together stretch of this pattern roundup. These are the Selena socks by Nicole Enzinger, who is Professor Pearl on YouTube, and I think she's awesome. I think this is really cool. I think it's her first design, but it's made with fingering and mohair held together, so nice and cozy. There's an interesting rib texture, and everyone that has made this sock has commented on how interestingly it's written, because it's very mathematically based, and so it's just very interesting, not your typical sock, just a little bit different. So really cool to be trying something a little bit different. I've got a couple more pattern sets. These two are by Summerlee Knits. So she's got her Thickmas socks and her Thicksgiving socks. They are a group of sock patterns using yarn held together, so you get some really cool marling effect with also like different gauges and stuff. So there's like vanilla sock, there's rib sock, cable sock, reverse stockinette sock. Let's see, her Thickmas socks are labeled DK, 26 stitches, which is, again, on the lighter side. Her Thicksgiving socks are also 26 stitches, but they're labeled worsted. See, that's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of overlap, and it really depends on your gauge and what fabric you like. So don't take my word for it. Don't take the designer's word for it. Find what works for you and what fits you. So this is the same gauge. It's got vanilla sock, rib sock, cabled sock. I'm not sure what the difference is. I'll have to do a little bit more looking. If you have knit either of these pattern sets, let me know what the difference is between Thicksgiving socks and Thickmas socks from Summerlee Knits. So I'm sure there's different features, but it's a little hard to see like through my screen right now. I'll have to do a little bit more digging, I think. And now we are to the crochet patterns. If you have looked for crochet sock patterns, there are not very many in comparison to knitting socks, but especially for the heavier weight, the DK and the worsted weight. And I think that's because crochet in general creates a thicker fabric, and so I would say personally, I find my fingering weight crochet socks are thick to me as a DK weight knit sock, if not like feeling thicker. It's a little bit stiffer, and so I think there's just not a lot available, and so I found a few that I thought were really cute. My phone is running out of power, so it cut me off, and I just talked about the last 3 socks on this list. Ugh, okay, we're gonna do it again. Okay, so the first crochet sock pattern that I was intrigued about is the Winter Star shorty socks. So short socks, super fun. I love the texture of these. This star stitch that's along the cuff as well as along the ball of the foot looks really nice and cozy. And the construction, it just looks like a really comfortable crochet sock. It looks like the heel is created with more of a ribbed texture to allow for more stretch. So I'm intrigued. I think this would be really fun to make. And then the next pair, I did say that I am a cat person. I'm an animal person, but I'm a cat person. And these Pussycat socks by Lucy Croft, so cute. They look like a fairly basic sock, but then at the very top, there's like little cat ears and a little embroidery to make the whiskers and the nose. So cute. Oh my goodness. This pattern is published in Love Crochet issue 50 as well as Simply Crochet issue 20. So I'll have to see if I can track down that pattern. But if not, I think that you could hack any kind of basic crochet sock pattern to make it kitty inspired. Super cute. It has a bunch of different sizes. It looks like UK 3 to 8. I don't know what that means for me in the US. Super cute though. And then last but not least, these are the Woodland Tales socks by the Velvet Acorn Designs. I love that this pattern, 15 stitches, 12 it's crochet. That's why the gauge is so different than knitting. Silly me. I love how this pattern comes in child sizes as well as adult sizes. 3 child sizes and 3 adult sizes. So you could really make this for anybody. I think that some crochet sock patterns look a little bulky, or they look like they don't quite fit your foot right, or at least not in the same way that knitted socks do. And sometimes people knit socks and I look at them and they don't look super appealing to me because they don't fit quite right. But these socks look like they fit really well. They look super cozy. They use a cozy yarn. It picks Wool of the Andes worsted and the tweed, I think. And so these look really, really nice to work on. It's a 5mm hook, so not big, I would say, but they would work up really fast, I think. And the variety sizes makes this awesome. That is all the sock patterns. Wow, more than 30 sock patterns. I had such a hard time narrowing them down, but I tried to get a little bit of everything. Some really basic, some vanilla plus type of socks, some sock groupings, so you could, you know, buy a bundle of socks together, some colorwork socks, some lace, some cables, some crochet, some with yarn held together, a huge variety. I did not know there were so many DK and worsted weight sock patterns out there. Honestly, I thought that I'd have to do a lot of looking, and there's way more patterns than I thought there were. So I think this would be really awesome. If you are interested in working on any DK weight knit or crochet socks, then let me know down below what patterns you are interested in making, or if you have any go-to patterns that you love. I think that this would be really fun to make, especially since we may move somewhere colder than where we're at now later this year, so it would be really nice to have some nice cozy socks for that move. I think that if I'm gonna look and see what I would want to make, first and foremost, I have the blueberry waffle socks on my to make list like for a while. It's in my queue, so I think I gotta say that's what I would want to make. Maybe laid edges, because that's also free and that looks fun. I'm kind of in the mood to do a little bit of cabling, but I'm also a little intimidated to do something crazy. So many good sock patterns, so many fun things to choose from. Also, I think the woodland tails socks, I think that's awesome. I just need to add more DK weight sock yarn to my arsenal, I think is what I need. I do not have anything in my stash, I don't think, that's DK weight for socks. I need to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. Until next time, happy making. Bye.